I like doing the Avengers on these Sundays because they're big and talking for an hour. Need to get some material. So here we got Avengers Annual King Size Annual number 6. Um, what year is it? Oh, 1976 says right there. 50 cents. I think the regular comics were a quarter at this size. Big battle issue. All new Avengers. First Nuclear and the Living Laser plus the Renegade U.S. Army. I always loved this Captain America. So this cover is by Jack Kirby, Dan Atkins, and Irv Wannabe. Hey, Tony. How you doing, Tony? Good to see you. You took time off your world tour, your world rap tour. What are you in the back of the dressing room right now? You going Beyonce hanging out? A little bit of Tim Hortons coffee to start get the noggin wet. So as I was saying, this comic, I think I showcased the comic right before this was Avengers 153, which goes directly into this. So if you go through my back catalog, I'm pretty sure you could see it. So everything looked good, everything sound good. I always get nervous on Sunday comics. So here we go. Look at this cover. No, I'm off this week. Tour starts second week of August. All right, good, good. Anything to get off the construction side. I don't blame you. You know, I'm hoping this John's Long Box thing takes off, and I could sit and read comic books and pay my mortgage. Excuse me. All right, so where were we? I'm gonna stall it a little bit just to get some people in here. I'm sure everybody can understand. Right, all right. Looks like I got 2 thumbs up. Cool. All right. So as I was saying, this comic comes directly after Avengers 153. So you read 153, and then it says continued in Avengers Annual number 6. 1976. Just look at this. So, all right, we'll open it up now. All right, I can only stall for so long. The year your favorite Marvel characters are going back to school with you and school supplies. Now look, this is funny. This is real funny. I've talked a million times about how I had this folder, this particular folder, and this is the folder that my comic books lived in when I brought them to school. So this folder was like just like this thick, packed with comics, and you could see those comics. They're all kind of like creased and worn up. I had this folder and I had the Avengers folder with the Avengers fighting the Squadron Supreme. That folder was for school. This folder was for comic books. See, here we got this wonderful splash page. Let's just look at the Indicia Avengers Annual. Okay, we already know the year, but why not check it again? 1976. Okay, so for those of you who do not know, annuals come out once a year, hence the name annual. And they usually came out in the summer. Does this have a no, this doesn't have a month, but that doesn't always mean that they come out in the summer. Sometimes they just came out when they were ready, or sometimes they came out like after a particular issue because it followed up. Like this one came out after Avengers 153 because it was a continuation of the story. Now, like I hope everybody has seen my interview with Chuck Dixon. That was just awesome. Tony, you still there? Did you see my interview with Chuck Dixon? Oh, that was the best. That was so much fun. And like he said, back in 1976, there were no comic book stores, or if there were, I didn't know anything about them. And comic books just showed up. So a lot of times I'd miss an annual. Like I missed an X-Men annual, the one when they went to the planet of the Badoon, and I didn't get that for years because there was no comic book store. You missed it, you poop out of luck. So, it was especially like this one, which was a direct continuation of Avengers 153. So what happened to Avengers 153? The living laser shot a beam into the wizard's eye, and the wizard went berserkowitz. So I guess that's one of his powers. He could hypnotize you with the laser. He could create illusions. So the wizard thought that he was looking at all of the old Axis heroes from his use. Now the wizard, there he is right there. So they beat the crap out of this old senile old guy, Bob Frank, the wizard. The wizard, not wizard. They beat the crap out of him. Why? Because he was attacking him and he has super speed. So what are you gonna do? Even if you hold back, he's running at you. Anyway. So he was hypnotized. And look at this. All right, let's look at the credits before I go further. I got to do this in order. So Jerry Conway, writer and editor. I've said this before, and I'll say it again, that being your own editor is not the best. It works over here because Jerry Conway is talented. Jerry Conway created The Punisher, and I I mentioned with a couple of videos that the Punisher kerfuffle. So maybe I'll talk about the Punisher kerfuffle right now while we look at this wonderful splash page. Like Chuck Dixon said, Marvel has always been a little embarrassed by the Punisher. He was a bad guy. He started out, he was a bad guy. In his very first story, he was hired by the Jackal to kill Spider-Man. So you could see, like, how he was created was vastly different than what he turned into. But that's nothing new. That happens all the time in comic books. You know, Hulk, I think, was created to be like a monstrous, like a bridge between superheroes and monsters. And I don't think they meant him to become like an Avenger or anything like that. Hank Pym was just a one-off story, the Man in the Anthill. Like, that wasn't supposed to be a major character that, like, he turned out to be. That just is a happy fortune stance. So the same happened with the Punisher. He was a one-off mercenary hired by the Jackal, the Professor Miles Warren, one of Peter Parker's pervert teachers. Miles Warren, he would capture all the hot chicks and clone them, and then use your imagination. So he captured Gwen Stacy and made a Gwen Stacy clone. So I don't know. Just I don't even want to go into that whole clone rabbit hole. But anyway, so the Punisher was vastly different. Now, I heard that Jerry Conway created him, and that John Romita Sr. created his look. That was John Romita Sr.'s job, was the Marvel's, like, design guy. So, and then I forget who drew that particular issue. Now, Jerry Conway is credited as the creator of the Punisher, and of course now all right wing Nazis and the police and the military guys, you know, all the men's men guys, took to the Punisher. A lot of these guys never read a comic book in their life. They just like the skull logo and everything. They've been painting it on their squad cars. Now, I do see the point in that. You know, the Punisher is a vigilante who kills people. The cops shouldn't be putting Punisher logos on their car. I totally understand that. You know, and I'm pro police and I'm pro Punisher and everything like that. And I understand that that's inappropriate. So that should be the squad department saying you can't put symbols of death on the police cars. Military, that's a different story. That's their job. Their job is to kill. But anyway, I digress. So all of these people who took over Marvel Comics, they were kind of embarrassed that they had the wrong fans. So they humiliated and disgraced Frank Castle, the Punisher. And it's funny because, like, 2 months later, they brought back, like, blonde-haired Aryan Punisher with laser guns. And like Chuck Dixon said, I'm sure some of the accountants were like, what, are you crazy? You just destroyed one of our moneymakers. Bring this guy back. And Jerry Conway was famously yelling, yes, I agree. Why does he agree? Because he's not making any money off the Punisher. Marvel doesn't have participation. So I'm sure Jerry Conway probably was tossed a couple of dollars, but Marvel doesn't have to pay. Not DC pays. So Jerry Conway probably hasn't seen a dime from the Punisher, so he doesn't care. You know, he's probably like, yeah, get rid of it. Get rid of my creation. I don't care. I'm not seeing any money. But anyway, that's the Punisher kerfuffle. So let's get into George Perez. This is some of George Perez's early work, when everybody kind of has like a little infant look. You'll see what I'm talking about. But I love George Perez. George Perez, unfortunately, just passed away, I think, a year ago. He had cancer, and there was nothing they could do about it. They put him in a hospice. And I had the fortune of meeting him years and years ago. What a sweet guy. Just a great talent. Humble guy. And he retired from comic books around 2015. And he just said that comics weren't fun anymore. And coincidentally, I stopped reading Marvel and DC in 2015. So it's good to see that George Perez had my back. All right, let's look at the inkers. Esposito, Tartag, and Vonland. Esposito, geez, that's three different people. Esposito, Tartag, and Vonland. Oh, the only one I know is Esposito. The other two names I don't really know. So I don't know if they were trying out. And Joe Rosen, letterer, Petra Goldberg colors. Just Marvel standards at this point. So look at this explosion. So here he is. The Scarlet Witch is just blasting her way into Avengers Mansion. This is seconds after they knocked Bob Frank the Wizard cold. So we got Captain America. Look at the shield. Notice the shield is inconsistent. Like, look how big that is right here. We got Hank McCoy the Beast. We got Henry Pym, the Yellow Jacket, in probably one of my favorite costumes of all time. This is without a doubt my favorite incarnation of Henry Pym. Henry Pym, for those of you who do not know, he was played by why can't I think of his name? The guy from Fatal Attraction. Senior moment over here. Turn it into Mitch McConnell. Why can't I think of his name? Somebody in the audience put the actor's name from a Fatal Attraction. Michael Douglas. Mike, is that Michael Douglas? No. Hey, hello, Arthur. But they retroactively said he had bipolar issues, and it kind of fit the way he was erratically drawn. They were always like trying to differentiate, the stodgy scientist with the younger girl love interest. They were trying to differentiate him from Reed Richards and the Invisible Woman, so they kind of made them the problem couple. And one of the things is he had an inferiority complex, so he went from Ant-Man to Giant Man, and then he got this like dashing costume to become like a more dashing superhero to re-woo Janet Van Dyne back, and then he went back to Giant Man for a while, and then he was Dr. Pym. It's just a mess. There's Janet Van Dyne, the Wasp, the Vision, Tony Stark, Iron Man, and Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch. Okay, just blasted through. No final victory. Let's all right. 11 minutes. I didn't return the page. So, of course, the Vision rushes out. They're spending a moment, and he's just saying, "What's going on?" She saw the living laser break into the Brand Corporation and steal the Serpent Crown. Now, why is that a big deal? Because they say it's a big deal. The Brand Corporation is, I'm surprised, did anybody watch all the Marvel TV shows? I kind of noped out. Loki was the last one I watched in order. I didn't see the Falcon and Winter Soldier. I didn't watch She-Hulk. I'm not watching Secret Invasion. And I don't even know if I missed another one. I'm just kind of tired of the Marvel stuff, Marvel movies. So, but did they ever bring in the Brand Corporation? The Brand Corporation is the evil corporation. What do? They do evil. If you need a bad oil company, they're the bad oil company. If you need a bad pharmaceutical company, they're the bad pharmaceutical. So that's, just like I always say in comic books, if you're a scientist, you're every type of scientist. If you're a lawyer, you're every type of lawyer. If you're a corporation, you're every corporation. And that's what the Brand Corporation is. And they were mining, and they found the Serpent Crown. The Serpent Crown is this, it's kind of like the One Ring. It's this crown made in Lemuria, and so it's ages past by some sort of like demon prince, and it gives you MacGuffin powers. And with the MacGuffin powers, you could control the world. So the living lasers found the Serpent Crown and stole it. And the Brand Corporation went after. I did showcase this comic. So now she's suffering from wounds, and she gets beat up. Jarvis over here comes out, and Vision is like, "This is my wife," and he runs off and saves the day. And I don't know. I like that costume. Just wonderfully simple. And now they're like, "Okay, what are we gonna do with you?" He's like, "Don't fight me. I'm an old man. I got my senses together." So he's explaining that he was hypnotized. He was a laser was shot into his eye, and he thought they were all evil Nazis, and everything's cool now. And Captain America and the Wizard fought side by side in World War II, so they're vouching for each other. And also the Beast is like, where did Wonder Man go? Wonder Man, at this point, Avengers number 9, which I should showcase, it was the first appearance of Wonder Man, Simon Williams' Wonder Man. And he died. What happened was the Masters of Evil, meaning the Enchantress using sorcery, and Baron Zemo using science, evil magic science. They turned Simon Williams, who was a rival to Tony Stark, business rival, into this being of pure energy. And because he's pure energy, he can't be created or destroyed, or only change states. But he didn't know that. They didn't know that, and the process can't be replicated because it's got Asgardian magic involved in it, which explains a lot. Oh, George Perez. Oh, Marcus Killigrew. I've never seen your name before. Thank you for showing up, Marcus. Thank you. Yeah, I love this comic. George Perez was great and influential. I agree with you. George Perez was the best. It's such a great comic. Such a great talent. Everything about this comic is firing all cylinders. So anyway, back to Simon Williams. He fought everybody. He fought Thor, and then he died. He succumbed to the creation. But nobody dies forever. He was dead for like 15 Marvel years, which means what, 8 minutes, Marvel time. You know how time is funny in comic books, and he came back. But right now, he's in this twilight state. His body is animated, but he doesn't have full use of his mind yet. So he's kind of wandering off. Not quite a zombie, not quite not quite alive yet. So that's what the Beast is like. Whoa! And I love this. This is the beginning of the Beast and Wonder Man friendship that kind of fell by the way. But I love this. Again, this is my favorite incarnation of the Beast. At this point in 1976, I don't even think I knew about the X-Men. The X-Men was selling so bad. X-Men were a low-tier, second-string Marvel comic at this point. To the point, like a kid like me that was obsessed with comics, maybe I knew about them, but for the most part, they weren't anything important. So I didn't know that he was the same Beast from the X-Men. I thought it was a different character. And, he's not, he's happy-go-lucky. He likes being the Beast. He's chasing all the chicks. He's hanging out with this guy, playing his guitar. I mean, look at this guy. He's just so swell. Don't you want to hang out with him? He's just swell. So now we got the flashback. Old man, he's explaining what's going on. He's fighting everybody. Just whirling everybody. I know the childishness in me is going to activate. I always thought it was funny that his name is the Wizard and he wore a yellow costume. So it looks like Jack Kirby over here. Janet Van Dyne's, we gotta find out what's going on. So now they're looking for the living laser. Why? What's going on? And look at this wonderful George Perez machinery. Just, a simple little, all of this stuff could be replicated in the cell phone today, but that's not comic books. Comic books is huge. Look at all these switches. Look at all that. That it looks like a mad scientist room. It's just awesome. Coffee again. So now they're looking for the wearer of the serpent crown. So where's this? This is like a different Earth, Earth 2. Even Marvel had the multiverse back then, and in this multiverse, I think one of the Rockefellers had the serpent crown, and he used its powers to control the world. So now the serpent crown, they check it, the energy signature to see if they could find it. That's what they're doing. So there it is. John Targlone was a longtime Marvel inker and inked a lot of Conan Daredevil. Oh, okay, thank you. I thought I recognized that name, but I didn't know enough to speak on it. Thank you, Marcus. All right, we got a guy who's going to fact check me. Excellent. No more talking nonsense, everybody. Teachers in the room. So now they're taking the Quinjet out and they're going to go track the Serpent Crown. So this is harkening back to the old Silver Age Justice Leagues when the teams would break up into teams, and Jerry Conway wrote a lot of those. So. So we got Hank McCoy going off to find Wonder Man. We got Janet Van Dyne hanging out with Bob Frank. We got Vision taking care of Scarlet Witch, and we got Iron Man and Captain America going to find the Serpent Crown. Yes, the Beast is like one of the top 5 IQs in the Marvel Universe, but at this time, he was just like a skirt chaser. Duffy Voland worked in the Marvel offices. Oh, okay. Thank you. All right, Marcus. Good. Give me some of these details, because I never claimed to be smart, and I never claimed to know everything. So here they are. He's talking about he was married to they battled Nuclo, and who is Nuclo? Nuclo is the Wizard and Miss Marvel's mutant son. So I like this. They're showing that not all in Marvel, one of the things I didn't like is once you're declared a mutant, you got a perfect body, you got some cool power, with the exception of Cyclops has a cool power, but he just can't control it. Like you wanted to be a mutant, but every once in a while they'd throw like the curse of mutation. Like this is Nuclo. Hey, Fabrizio, good morning. Oh, good. Fabrizio Aiello is the writer, inker, creator, letterer, I think everything of Horace H. Hoover. A comic that I got 2 issues just are out. I got issue 1 and it floored me, and here is issue 2. Fabrizio, this cover is outstanding. Your art got so much better just in 1 issue, and I really dig the coloring. So there you go. Alterna plug. I will gladly plug Alterna. Go to alternacomics.com and get your copy today. Only $2. So anyway, Nucleo is a radioactive mutant, and just being near him is dangerous. So Bob Frank got his powers by it's just so silly. He was ejection of radioactive mongoose blood, and I forget how Miss America got her powers, but the two of them did the lovey doveys, and they had Nucleo, and that they talked about old stories, and at this point, due to convolution, like a Three's Company, like if you know that show, you know what I'm talking about. You got gray hair, but it was like a Three's Company mistaken identity thing. Bob Frank thought his children was Pedro and Wanda. So Pedro and Wanda had a long, storied search for their parents. You know, I think originally Magneto said that he was their parents, and then it turned out to be Bob Frank was their parents, and then their parents was Django Maximoff, and now it's back to Magneto. And I don't know. I think they even changed it again these days. So it was, but it was a soap opera. I was a little kid who was hung on every moment. Who are the real parents of Wanda and Pedro Maximoff? And here, he was upset because that was his son and he couldn't attend the wedding. So you do it, and his wife is dead, and he's lonely, and so you do what everybody does. You become an alcoholic, So he drinks himself into a coma. Again, he's kind of looking like Jack Kirby, and he's passed out, and he thinks his Madeline Frank, his wife, is there, but it's really the nurse, and now he's ashamed of himself, so he's cleaning himself up, and he's like, I gotta fix myself. And one of the things I gotta do is get the only person I know who's my real son is Nucleo. And Nucleo is being held by the U.S. military. Why? Because he's dangerous. He's radioactive. He gives off nuclear energy. So he's going to go and steal the files and find out where Nucleo is. He believes he's dying at this point. So, and maybe he was, and maybe they changed it. I don't know. So now he's running to go save his kid. And of course, that's all Janet Van Dyne has to say. What? Your kid being held against his will? We're going to go help you. Chapter 2, Interlude. Look at that splash page. There's the Beast. That's my buddy, the Beast. This is like I said, this is the Beast that I always liked. Hank McCoy. He's concerned about his buddy. These two had a great chemistry. They, some great Avengers, Simon Williams, Wonder Man moments. Them out picking up chicks and everything like that. I quit reading the X-Men around 2004. I was really pissed off at the X-Men at X-Men 200 when they captured Magneto. They're going to put him on trial, and the X-Men break into the UN Council and kidnap Magneto because he's not going to get a fair trial, but we want to be treated like everybody else. The hypocrisy just drove me crazy. So and then I went 4 more issues out of Momentum, and then I quit. I've since bought full runs, in eBay, but that's because I'm a maniac. But my point being is the X-Men are like, oh, we're so whiny. I don't read comic books to listen to whiny. I can't do math, but I can remember comic book stuff. Yeah, okay, Marcus, did we just become best friends? That's so funny. It's true. I love this Hank McCoy because he enjoyed being the Beast. I forget who it was, but one of the females working in Marvel Comics at the time said she wished the Beast was real. It would be so cute. She said she would just want to hug him and pet him and squeeze him all day long because he would be like a real life stuffed animal. And so we had the first confirmed furry in Marvel Comics editorial stuff. So one of the writers said, hey, that would be funny. And they made like all these women chasing after the Beast. Like he was like, oh, this girl likes me. This girl likes me. So he didn't, gone with the nerd stuff. And that's how I thought the Beast was. Just loving life, and chasing tail and having a great old time. Spider-Man and the Fly. This is why Spider-Man is Marvel's greatest hero. First off, I love the Fly. Something about Fly villains. I love this costume. But Spider-Man uses Twinkies. And we all know that Twinkies are delicious and fruit pies are Satan's spawn. So Spider-Man, you get my vote. So now Wonder Man, he's confused. He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know if it's like 20 years ago. His brain is in a fog. So he's just beating the crap out of everybody. And remember, he's in like one of the strongest Marvel categories. So he's blasting the Beast. Beast is jumping around. Look at this. He picks up these 2 garbage cans. I always remember this panel. And he smashes the cans together, and this just shockwave just he's like, what am I going to do? I can't fight this guy. That was like his claim to fame. I'm the guy who beat Thor once, you know. So he's still under the influence of the masters of evil at this point. He's got to get to them. They're gonna finish fixing his brain, and I love this. He comes running. You know, his brain is in a fog. He doesn't have the best tactics. He runs. Beast uses the old momentum against him, and he smashes his head against the wall. And Beast's like, I can't believe I just took out Wonder Man. So now, and look at this. This is the Perez principle. The Perez principle is whenever there's debris, you draw enough debris for like 10 objects. You know, he says it increases the drama, and he's right. So here he is taking Simon Williams and look, just leaping and jumping around. And here we got chapter 3. Again, this is such classic Silver Age Justice League and Justice Society. The teams break up. So what are they doing? Confrontation. So they think that the Serpent Crown is in there. And I just remember that as a little kid, I always heard the Serpent Crown, and it was like fascinating to me, but I never really saw the Serpent Crown do anything. It's kind of like the One Ring in Tolkien. Everybody was fighting over the One Ring, but it's not like, you know, as a kid, it's not like I saw the One Ring do anything except turn, you know, Frodo invisible. But as I reread the Lord of the Rings as an adult, I realized that the ring was very powerful, and it was used in specific instances, like very obviously, but I didn't catch it as a kid, you know, because Tolkien's a master writer. But anyway, I digress. So the army is, you know, fighting them off. Why? Because they're controlled by the wearer of the Serpent Crown. So that's why they could beat up the army and get away with it. Look at that. I love that. He just shoots this, just, you know, never an exploding grenade, just jump. You know, his butt's not going to get hit with shrapnel, just jump. Iron Man, you know, what does he do? I love this. He fires the tree and repels, hits the shield, gives Cap all the momentum, and I just love that. It was overly complicated. It made no sense, but it was awesome. You know what I mean? And that's comic books, you know. So here he is, just beating the crap out of everybody, just running around yelling. Iron Man doing what Iron Man doing. He's absorbing all the big bullets, and I love this. Again, makes no sense. It just adds the difficulty, but it's comic books. He takes the two repulsor rays and shoots each other, and they join forces for one powerful beam, and he just takes out everybody. Why? Why did he do that? Because it's awesome. That's why he did it, you know. I love that panel. So here's Iron Man steadying his nerves and just smashes into a tank. While Captain America's taking out the drivers, and he's like, listen, you guys are being, yeah, they don't make comics like this, Marcus. You're absolutely right. You know, I'm getting the feeling that you and I are probably in the same age category. So he's yelling at them. We got the Rogue General with the crazy eyes. He's like, you don't understand. You know, you don't understand. And then he's distracted them. Why? Because the Living Laser wearing the Serpent Crown. And I remember as a kid, I was like, oh no, this is getting real. The Living Laser is wearing the Serpent Crown of Lemuria. Perez does Kirby. Yes, absolutely he does. This is absolutely Perez aping Jack Kirby style. And why not? Jack Kirby's the best. So I got to pull out to get this because we got this overlay. So here we got Nuclo. He's captured in the by this group of military, like, there's always these military zealots in comic books, you know, like little, they were like a squad that was under the influence of like a master general. 57, I'm 54. Okay, I figured we were in the same. And then he used the Serpent Crown to influence them, and, you know, so you could conscience is clear in beating up military guys. So here's, you know, they're bringing in Captain America. The Living Laser is just talking. So the Living Laser, originally, I think he debuted in Iron Man, and he just wore these wrist straps that fired lasers. He wasn't really a living laser. He was just a guy that had like little things on his wrist. But now he's using the power of the Serpent Crown to mutate himself into an actual laser. So now he is energy, you know. So like now he's got a gloat. He's talking. These guys are reading books, and here he is talking about the lasers are transforming him, and now he not only does he shoot lasers, but he manipulates light so he could create illusions, and this is how he manipulated the Wizard. And now he's transformed. And so I could stand in my no way, for I am energy incarnate. I am the living laser. You know, he's a madman. He's ranting and raving. And what happens when you rant and rave? Well, the Beast kicks you in the face, knocks the crown off, and Vision. It's I love the teamwork in this. I love the fight choreography. Jerry Conway, differences aside, he is picturing this fight in his head. He's got it all stepped out. It's choreographed. Vision jumps in, takes the crown, and he's just like, oh yeah, oh yeah. So he fires. Beast jumps out of the way. It hits Wonder Man. Now, don't worry, Wonder Man is super powerful. Iron Man. I love when they show that. So we're seeing from inside the beam, it hits him, and like, okay, I'm not going to the pokey. I'm not gonna release the nuclear. And here comes. I love this. They're flying around annoying him. Captain America recovers his druthers. Oh, look at this. Look at this. All of these comics are amazing. All of these comics are amazing, right, Marcus? This was a great year for comic books. We got this Thor annual, Thor fighting Hercules, the Defenders. Look at that. Just look at Defenders. We got Doctor Strange. We got the Hulk, Nighthawk. I know. I loved Nighthawk. We got the female Red Guardian. Valkyrie, I didn't particularly like their costume, but I've always liked Valkyrie. You want to talk about a convoluted, messy backstory? Read Valkyrie. I firmly believe that they could clean her up and put her in the MCU, and she would be a smash hit. Easily. Instead, they got this alcoholic, obnoxious Valkyrie in the Marvel movies. I just can't stand the character. I like the actress. I discovered her in a show called Copper. I really liked her in Copper, but it's just that they made the character just unlikable in the movies. And then we got Luke Cage, and over here we got Luke Cage, Power Man. He was a big phenomenon, and here we got this. All right, sell some grit. Anybody ever sell some grit? So look at this. Talk about aping Kirby over here. I'll give more credit to Perez since they used the Marvel method. Okay, all right. Oh, okay. I see what you. The comment went over my head, but I reached up and pulled it into my brain. So you're saying that George drew all of this, and that Jerry. Okay, so they used the Marvel method. So George probably had the fight choreographed in his head more than Jerry. Okay, yeah, I'll buy that. So Captain America's like, Nuclear lives again. Those annuals are great. Yeah, those were 4 great comics. Look at this. It's like mythological. The egg is opening and this Titan is arising from the sea. Look at that. What does he say? Kill the Avengers. Kill. There's always a fanatical, major, general. I don't know the rank. And look at this. These guys are like, I'm getting out of here. And the Living Laser's like, why you leave? Oh, boom. I love that. So Nuclear is he's like the Hulk. But the Hulk has like a humanity. The Hulk doesn't really do that much destruction. I kind of like this. They say that Bruce Banner's brain is still active inside the Hulk, like tempering him and keeping him from actually destroying everything. And that's what the Gray Hulk is. It's like when the Hulk manifests pretty much without Banner in control, he becomes like Mr. Fix-It or whatever. I don't know. It's kind of good. Multiple personalities explaining the inconsistencies of the Hulk. So this general's going up to Nuclear, and he's doing what a general does. He's ordering them around, and Nuclear ain't having any of that. He's mindless engine of destruction. Now the Beast is like, we can't have him killing people because Beast is a hero. The World Encyclopedia of Comics by Maurice Morris. You know what's funny is I had this. I bought this because I thought it was important. Even as a kid, I was like, I'm into comic books. When I get into stuff, I get really into stuff. So I went and I bought this. And I bought this, and then Steranko had like an encyclopedia of comics. And so I had the hardcover editions. I saved up my money. And when I went away to college, I put all my comic books into like a room in the basement of my parents' house. And everything was bagged and boarded except for these. These were just put on top. These literally turned to mush. It was so humid that fortunately all my comics were bagged and boarded. And you can see these are excellent. The bags and boards saved my entire comic collection. These were destroyed. Those annuals were great. The hippies didn't like the military, but it didn't ruin. Yes. The military, the police, they're all authority figures, Marcus, if you ask me, and you could back me up, man. I'm glad to have you in the audience. Thank you. All the authority figures were always the bad guys in this era of comics. guys who ran the corporation, the president. How many corrupt senators were there in Marvel and DC at this point? Every general. How did the military function when every general was like Satan worshiping or wore the serpent crown or out stealing? It's funny, but you're right. Authority think well, mad scientists. All authority figures make good villains, right? In comic books. And look at this. They're like, what is going on? And I like how these two are just a squad amongst themselves. Nucleus is getting bigger. Anthony B. Hey, John, just showed up. First live I caught. What's up? Thank you for coming. First off, thank you for saying that, Anthony. I get nervous when I do these live videos at first, and then I warm up. If you watch my Chuck Dixon interview, I was panicking the first 10 minutes, and Chuck made it so welcoming that I kind of eased up. So thank you. I forgot to say this. Thank you for showing up. I love the interaction with you guys. I got 8 people commenting. This is what it's all about. Talking great comics with guys like Marcus, my new best friend, Anthony saying, "Oh, it is so good." Tony, longtime friend. I've known Tony now. Tony, how long have I known you? Tony Dimes, 15 years. We went through the apprenticeship together. He's still young and good looking. I'm old and fat, but that's because he eats a lot of Sunday gravy. Sunday Gravy's rap is Anthony's rap song. Check it out on Spotify. For you young rapper scrappers. Anyway, I digress. But thank you, Anthony, for coming. I'm easily distracted. But it's fun. It's fun. I don't mind the distraction because you guys are the best. So here we got Captain America. Oh, who is that? Is that Iron Man? Oh, that's Iron Man. Grabbed by Nucleus. I love this coloring effect. I love this like negative color. And then he grabs him and you can see he's now covered in radiation. Captain America's like, get out of here. Bad guys, good guys. Yeah, Tony, at least 15 years. The Marvel method is when the writers... Oh, Marcus. Anthony and Arthur Tripp worked for Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. He was a woodchuck. He was one of the guys that shook hands with these people. He actually wrote a couple of comics. You guys would have a great conversation together. I went and had a couple of meals with Arthur Tripp. Great guy. He was there. He was there in the bullpen. So here we got Tanks. I love this. He's just getting bigger and bigger. He's absorbing. And they're like, he is going to hit critical mass. He is a living, breathing, walking hydrogen bomb or neutron bomb or cobalt bomb. I don't even know which one he is now. They're like, we're going to get out of here. What does he say now? Iron Man will die. So he's holding on to Iron Man. Iron Man can only absorb so much. Nucleus is he's in his... Oh, Marcus, you didn't have to redact anything. We're all friends here. Don't worry about it. So you kind of feel bad for Nucleus. He's a mindless monster, but really he's an innocent infant. He's never taught anything. I don't know. Does anybody know? Does he have the capacity to learn? Is he just like a 50s monster? Iron Man's hitting his limit, and then Captain America's like, we got to charge in. Tony's about to die, and Tony Stark. I love this. He throws his shield. Look at that. Just look at that. Kirby crackle all over the place. Who was it? Was it Marcus who said he's aping George Perez? He's aping Kirby. He absolutely is aping Kirby over here. And why not? Ape the best. I love this. He throws the shield and it distracts him. What happens now? Because he's about to explode. He's absorbing Iron Man's power source. He's ambient radiation. The frenzy, his own glands and hormones acted up. And what do we got here? I love this. Just look. This is a perfect example. I'm getting excited and I'm getting ahead of myself. Look at this. Pay attention to this. Class, we're in session. This is how a perfect example of movement and timing in comic books. It is a unique phenomenon in comic books. So we got Captain America leaping, throwing his shield. So understand, this is a split second. And then look at this. We got all of these words, we got all of these panels, but it's just understood that it's super speed. And then we got this comet. Look at Nucleus' face. Butcher Santos, good to see you. Butcher, brand new person. I love when new people show up. And then we got this comet just, boom, knocks out Nucleus. Who was it? His father. His own father, Wizard, took out Nucleus. He knocked him out, and that because he's knocked out, the emotions are calm, everything like that. Stop that nuclear chain reaction. He saves the world, you know. And Iron Man's like, whoa. Iron Man's internal dampeners are already working. Yellow Jacket did nothing, and then Captain America's like, what are we gonna do? You know, he attacked and defeated his own son. Dun dun dun. And then this goes right into Avengers 154 with Atuma, and it is not Atuma. Just guys, I cannot stress enough how amazing Avengers 150 to I'm gonna say 200. 50 issues of perfection. Avengers 150 to 200. Oh my God. I'm sure Marcus, I'm sure Arthur, you know, all of us old schools. It is amazing. You know, amazing comic books. And now we have possibly the most popular Marvel hero ever, starring in the sense-shattering saga Night Vision. Now, the Vision, I don't know what it was, but I love the Vision. It just shows you what a cool costume will do. And if I remember correctly, the Vision was created like as an homage to Martian Manhunter. So he has like a varied set of powers. You know, he's kind of has the green. You know, so it's kind of like he was Marvel's analog to the Martian, but he became his own thing really quickly. Now, for those of you who only know him through the movies, he was created by Hank Pym. So Hank Pym created I misspoke. Let me fix what I was going to say. Hank Pym created Ultron, not Tony Stark. So Hank Pym created Ultron, and then Ultron created the Vision. So Ultron has like this Shakespearean Oedipus complex. He wants to marry his mother, which he views as Janet Van Dyne, and he wants to kill his father, and he kind of wants to be Hank Pym. So Hank Pym created a robot. Ultron's going to create a robot. He created Vision. It's, you know, that's Shakespeare to me. That is, you know, a wonderful comic book drama to me as a kid. I thought it was amazing. And I'm sure that stuff like that, it got retconned or whatever. So, and the Vision was, at one point, he was the reassembled body of the original Human Torch. Then it turned out that he wasn't the original Human. He was just copied off the Human Torch. But one thing that they took the brain patterns of Simon Williams and copied the brain patterns because whatever, I don't know what that means. The engrams, the brain pattern. So he has the same thought processes of Simon Williams, but it's artificial. It's different. So whatever, you know. That's the long convoluted history of the Vision. So that's why Simon Williams kind of has feelings for Wanda, because he has the same brain as the Vision. So whatever. And that's why Wanda's kind of interested in Simon Williams too. So who is this? A Titanic tale of mirthful mayhem as told by Scott Edelman, writer, Herb Trimpe, artist, Irene Vartanoff, colorist, I can never say his name, Watanabe, letterer, and Jerry Conway, editor. So if I remember correctly, this was a Marvel tryout story. They had this short Vision story that they would give to artists and letterers to draw to test them out. So I think this was Butcher. Is there a problem with the M's? You know, I don't know. It's getting annoying. So there must have been a problem, so they put this into the comic. And so I'm getting the feeling that Scott Edelman, we probably never heard from since, because I never know. But Herb Trimpe was a stalwart at Marvel. So Scott Edelman, I think this is a tryout. So the Vision, you know, he's using his powers to do what he's got to do. Out of the way, you're gonna get yourself killed. He turns solid, and the milk truck crashes into him, and he saves the pedestrian. Rather than grab the pedestrian and keep running, he crashes the truck, you know, causes destruction and possibly injures the driver. You know, look at the driver. So he's there. He's like, what's going on? You know, this is the best story. Like I said, it was a tryout. So the cops are coming over. You know, the cops are like, this guy's a menace. You know, the Vision's being smarty pants, because that's the way the Vision is. And this guy is about to rob a bank. You know, the B story, and you know, he's going to the Avengers Vault to withdraw money to pay the milk truck driver for the damages. You know, it's like, I have, and you know what? I don't blame him. This guy's a regular working stiff. He's got real problems. He's got real bills to pay. But this guy, he activates. He's got a fake pack of cigarettes, and it's It's a bomb. He blows up the vault, and it's the Whirlwind. Who is the Whirlwind? The Whirlwind is a mutant who had a fascination, an obsession with Janet Van Dyne, the Wasp, and he was there. He became their chauffeur, driver, and then like kidnapped her. It was like he was like a creepy stalker. He used his whirlwind powers. I don't know. This is the Whirlwind lives again. This is one of those comics costumes that is so bad it's awesome. Look at that. Look at that. He's one of the original Marvel villains. He debuted in was it Tales to Astonish? I'm sure Marcus could correct me. Tales to Astonish, right? That was the Ant-Man and the Wasp comic. Here come the security guards. I love that. He spins around really fast, so therefore he's bulletproof. But whatever, yeah, that's cool. And the Vision, as far as I'm concerned, the Vision outclasses a lot of people. So he's just whirlwinded. He's turning unsolid, and then he blasts them. That's one of his powers. The Vision is always absorbing solar radiation, and he harnessed the solar radiation into a heat beam and takes out the Whirlwind, or at least stops him from spinning around. And again, this story is no great shakes. This is actually a tryout story, and the Vision is just flying around. I love the Kirby crackle. So the Whirlwind, he's got super speed, so he's spinning around, and phases through him, and that's the Vision's main attack. Is he phases through? He reduces his density to like a ghost, and he passes through your body, and then he slowly solidifies it, and it's just painful. So that's what he does to the Whirlwind. He crashes, makes his crater. I don't know why he does that, but that's just dramatic. And then he's talking to the truck driver. I want my truck, and he flies off. That was just, again, I know I've heard Chuck Dixon explain it, and I've heard other people say that they had this short little Vision story fighting the Whirlwind that they used for tryouts. So this is the only time it showed up. So this comic, it just must have been short a couple of pages, so they grabbed that out of the inventory. Which brings me to a good topic. Inventory stories where Marvel would pay somebody. The most famous inventory story that I could think of right now is Avengers 202. It was, I forget who wrote it, but it was drawn by Carmine Infantino, and I just hated it because at the time it was George Perez drawing. So something must have happened. There was either the writer was slow or the artist was slow, or they just needed a break. So Marvel would pay a writer and an art team to make a full comic. It had to be a standalone comic. It couldn't refer to anything, and it couldn't allude to anything else. It was just its own little self-contained story, and then they would put it in the shelf and forget about it. Tales to Astonish. Thank you, Marcus. And then whenever something would happen, whenever the art was too slow, whenever, a comic was too short, they would take out an inventory issue and publish it. That story with Wonder Man and the Beast, with the anaerobic chemical people that lived in the sewers, I hated it. I hated that story, but obsessive compulsive comic book kid had to have it in his collection. So there you go. This is Avengers Annual 6, just classic Jack Kirby, just classic George Perez storytelling insanity. I thought it was an important comic. It was the Wizard, Nuclear. Avengers 153 goes right into this, then this goes right into Avengers 154. Again, guys, I cannot stress how great Avengers 150 to 200 is. Just classic, phenomenal, amazing comic book storytelling. We got George Perez, we got Jim Shooter, I think, wrote a couple of issues. We got John Byrne. It's just phenomenal comic books. And any of Anthony B. I honestly never knew any of this, to be honest. You really know your stuff. This was before my time. Yeah, this era. Well, I don't really know Golden Age stuff. That's before my time. That's why I'm glad guys like Arthur Tripp show up and teach me. And now I'm glad Marcus is giving. I don't claim to know everything. I just I started collecting comic books. I've been buying comics my whole life, but I will say I started collecting comics in 1974. But I didn't collect comics in the normal sense. I just, that's a cool cover, and I bought it. That's a cool cover, and so a lot of the stuff was disjointed. And then my friends Sean and Carl, they were like, "No, you see these numbers? You got to get them in order." See, I look at all these numbers. What does that number mean? I knew that was the price. What does that number? So I just saw numbers on the comic book. Look, there's numbers over here. What do these numbers mean? I didn't know. I just figured, okay, there's numbers all over the comic book. So I just bought whatever I wanted, and I was confused, but I liked it. Sometimes Marvel did a good job of explaining stuff. And they're like, no, this is the issue number. This is this. You got to get 5, then you got to get 6. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh my God, now I'm obsessed. So somewhere between 74 and 76, I probably 75, I started really collecting comics, searching and looking for the numbers. And I remember, like, I would walk to school and there was a Charlie's, and Charlie's had a spinner rack with comics. And I would go there, and that was my first stop. On the way to school, every morning, my mom would give me $1 for lunch money, and I would buy a comic book, and I would still have change to buy a full lunch. How amazing is that? I had money for lunch and a comic book for $1. And then, if I didn't have it there, on the way home, I would go to another place. It was called Swen's, and it was like a coffee shop with a counter, and people would go there and have eggs. But they had a full-on magazine rack. So they would have everything, and they would have comics. That was my second place. And then my third place was Howie's. And I would go down to Howie's. Howie's was a stationery store. You walked in there, and it was just, you had like an alcove, and it was just filled with comics. And to me, he never returned the comics, because back then, you would return the comics. Meaning the newsstand would get 10 copies of Avengers Annual number 6, and then they would sell 7, and they would return 3 for credit. What they would do is they would either rip off the covers, or just cut this. And then you'd have like a lot of stands that would sell coverless comics or give them away. That's why you see a lot of coverless comics in people's collections, because that's what they did. But Howie, he just never seemed to do that, and he always had comics. And then if it really I couldn't find it, if I got desperate, I would volunteer to go food shopping with my mom. And then I would run to this place called Atimo. It was a cigar store, and he had everything. Yes. In my town, we had the corner store and the stationery store. Yeah, exactly. And I forget exactly what year it was, but then a comic book store called The Incredible Pulp opened near me, and I was amazed that a store sold nothing but comic books, and I was hooked. And then from there, like once a week, I would just go, and I'd call it the A to Z. I'd start at A, and I would just spend hours just flipping through every comic, and I would have a stack and buy comics. And I was filling in gaps. Oh man, I loved it. I was filling in gaps. I was getting stuff that caught my eye. Such good times. I ended up working in that store. Until this day, I'm still friends with Larry, the owner of the Incredible Pulp. Anything we want to say? I'm kind of done talking. I'm gonna take a sip of coffee. You guys, if you want to say anything. Okay. All right. I guess we'll close down the stream. This was a lot of fun. Guys, thank you so much for showing up. Thanks for the thumbs up. I'm going to go record my Music Monday video now. Get my 2 videos done. So for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, on Mondays, because I told a story about about my punk rock years in the past, and that, for some reason, that attracted other people that weren't into comic books. They're into me. So I'm doing a video a week about my record 45 and CD collection. I just started last week. It's called Music Mondays. I'm making it its own playlist. You can check it out. So right after this, I'm going to go record that. My comic book video tomorrow will go up at noon, and the Music Mondays will go up at 2. Thanks for hanging, and definitely looking forward to the music video too. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you. You guys are the best. Remember, I do requests. I like doing requests, because last night, believe it or not, I actually laid in my bed for 40 minutes. What am I going to do? I don't want to do another Ventures Annual. I just did it because these Sunday comics, I like to do a larger comic, or maybe like a 4-issue regular comic series, because I like, I want to talk for an hour. So I kind of take these giants. But I was laying in bed. What do I want to do? All right. I wanted to do this for a while, but I just did an Avengers Annual. But there you go. What do you want? All right. So thanks a lot, everybody. I will see you tomorrow with another video. Bye-bye.